Good afternoon, Jets Nation. Welcome to the Jew Jets Show, and today we're going to be breaking down the New York Jets wide receiver room, doing a complete deep dive on it, talking about every single player. So without any hesitation, let's go ahead and get it started. So the New York Jets have 13 wide receivers on the roster. Out of the 13, I predict 6 of them will make the final 53. And out of the 13, the presumptuous number 1 receiver is, of course, Garrett Wilson, the 2022 Offensive Rookie of the Year, the guy that had the most receiving yards among all rookie wide receivers, despite having some pretty bad quarterback play for pretty much all 17 games last year, and with him already getting comparisons to Davante Adams from his new quarterback Aaron Rodgers, and with Aaron Rodgers being a pretty big fan of Garrett Wilson, and Garrett Wilson being a pretty big fan of Aaron Rodgers, you can definitely expect a lot from Aaron Rodgers and Garrett Wilson in 2023, and Wilson definitely has that superstar potential. But who is going to be backing up Garrett Wilson? Which players are we going to be cutting? That's the questions we're going to be answering. Now, the players that I don't think make the practice squad are Diontae Spencer. He's someone that filtered on and off our practice squad last year. We cut him and signed him back to the practice squad like 6 different times. Overall, he really just doesn't bring much to the team as a receiver. He does kind of bring something as a return man. He has had success as a return man in the NFL before, but overall, I just really don't think he makes the 53-man roster or the practice squad, just because there's more talented guys ahead of him and younger players. Malik Taylor also is a guy that I don't think makes the practice squad. He was on it last year for the New York Jets and has actually caught a touchdown pass from Aaron Rodgers in his career in 2020, but just really we have better players and younger guys at this position that can offer more than Malik Taylor. And out of the 4 undrafted free agent wide receivers that we signed, the only one that we really haven't been hearing much from has been TJ Luther, and that's not exactly a good thing whenever you're competing for a roster spot. It's been completely radio silence for TJ Luther since we signed him as an undrafted free agent, and unless he has a pretty big training camp, I don't think this guy makes it on our practice squad. Now moving on to the fringe roster / practice squad likely guys. First one is Jerome Kapp. Now Kapp has a pretty cool story. He was an undrafted free agent wide receiver coming from a Division II school in this year's draft, and receives a tryout to the New York Jets rookie minicamp, balls out during rookie minicamp, and earns himself a spot on our 90-man roster. And Jerome Kapp impressed the media a lot during OTAs. This is a dude with an insane work ethic, an insane drive, of course, from being an undrafted free agent that didn't even get a contract at first. Someone that's incredibly underrated and someone that really wants it. And it seems like this is someone that the New York Jets want to keep around, and if he has a good training camp, he could potentially make the 53, but I feel like a practice squad spot is more likely for this guy. Aaron Rodgers was asked during OTAs which players have been impressing him the most, and the answer he gave was Xavier Gipson and Jason Brownlee, 2 undrafted free agent wide receivers from this year's undrafted free agent class. Now, Jason Brownlee is someone that the New York Jets gave a lot of guaranteed money to, so that's already a testimonial to how much the New York Jets like this guy. And a lot of people with sources on the team are saying that the team really likes Jason Brownlee, and he has a good shot to make the 53. Xavier Gipson is someone that we really haven't heard too much about, but out of the undrafted free agents, the dude impressed me the most. I mean, looking at his college tape, I mean, it was highlight after highlight. The dude's a speed demon, big playmaker, and also is a pretty good return man, and if he's impressing Aaron Rodgers, that's always a good thing. And in the same sentence as, Jason Brownlee has a good chance to make the 53-man roster. Going back to Jason Brownlee, I know it's kind of like a choppy jump. The people with sources are saying that Irvin Charles, the 6'5" undrafted free agent from last year, has also been impressing the New York Jets coaching staff. And last offseason, I remember him having a pretty good training camp, a pretty good offseason in general. Of course, at a 6'5" height, he's going to be making a lot of plays. And in OTAs, he had a good one, and people are saying that the dude has a good chance to make the 53-man roster. So Jason Brownlee, Irvin Charles are definitely competing for that 6th wide receiver spot, with Xavier Gipson and Jerome Kapp kind of falling behind, but definitely still in that race. Sadly, I don't think Denzel Mims makes a roster, is on a practice squad. None of that. And it's something that we kind of knew was going to happen. Ever since this coaching staff got here, they never really were impressed with Denzel Mims. And Mims' first year with this new coaching staff, a lot happened to him. He had a lot of injuries along with very bad food poisoning from salmon that sidelined him a lot during the offseason. And he never really impressed the coaches once he got back to full health. I guess he never really had that drive, never really had that work ethic. And Salah and Mike LaFleur and all these other offensive coaches were like, I really don't like Mims, which is why they made him a healthy scratch in a lot of games over the past 2 years. So whenever Hackett came in, you would think some things would change, but it turns out Hackett and, all this new coaching staff aren't really impressed with Denzel Mims as well. And everything we've been hearing about Mims is that he's most likely going to get cut or traded this off season, and this is a divorce that we knew was going to happen. A change of scenery definitely would be beneficial for Denzel Mims as well. So I just really don't think Denzel Mims is on this team one way or another next year. Now, moving on to the guarantees to make the 53-man roster, someone that you could put money on to make it. First off is Randall Cobb, Aaron Rodgers' right-hand man, someone that Rodgers is best friends with on and off the field. And fun fact about the relationship, Rodgers is actually the godfather to one of Randall Cobb's kids. If you didn't know that, now you do. And Randall Cobb isn't the 1,300 Pro Bowl receiver he was at one point during his career, but he's definitely still a solid backup wide receiver, someone that you can expect to, put up solid numbers from being a backup slot guy, especially with his age. He's also a great mentor to the younger players, just a seasoned vet that you want to have in your locker room, and someone that also has a good relationship with your quarterback. At the 4th spot, I have Mecole Hardman, and I like to think of him as Braxton Berrios on crack, because what Braxton Berrios did for the New York Jets over the past few years is what Hardman did with the Chiefs. It's just Hardman did a lot more of it and did it a lot better. Hardman would constantly run on routes across the middle of the field. They would send him on deep routes quite a bit, and Braxton Berrios will do that, just not as good and not as much. And while Mecole Hardman is someone that would do that every game, along with those jet sweeps and end-arounds. Mecole Hardman did a very good job at that. So definitely expect to see him in that gadget type of role. But also expect to see him more in a kind of a more traditional receiver role as well, because the Jets believe Mecole Hardman has some untapped potential on his route running ability. So does that mean they're going to use him more as a traditional wide receiver? I would assume, but definitely expect him to do the same stuff he was doing in Kansas City that he found success at. He also said a big reason to why he signed to the New York Jets was because they were going to let him return kicks again, which is something he made a Pro Bowl in during the 2019 season. So he's going to be basically Braxton Berrios, just a lot better. At the 3 spot, we have Corey Davis, and if you would have told me in March that Corey Davis would be on this team in June, I would have called you crazy, because all the reports we were hearing, all the rumors we were hearing is that Corey Davis was going to be a cap casualty. The New York Jets were going to trade him, but it turns out those were all false, because the New York Jets absolutely love Corey Davis. All the memes you've been seeing online, find you a guy that loves Corey Davis as much as the New York Jets, all that type of stuff is true, because the New York Jets absolutely love Corey Davis. And throughout his first 2 years with the team, I don't think Corey Davis has been that bad. He's dealt with injuries and pretty bad quarterback play, but he's definitely been a reliable receiver whenever he's been on the field. Someone that averaged 16.8 yards a catch in 2022. It's just injuries and bad quarterback play have kind of prevented him from being a good wide receiver. And don't get me wrong, he's had his own flaws of himself, like some drop issues and, of course, a big penalty problem, and who knows if that's going to be fixed in 2023. But as a wide receiver 3 with Aaron Rodgers as his quarterback, if he can stay healthy, I definitely expect some success from Corey Davis in 2023. He's also a great run blocker, like our wide receiver 2, Allen Lazard is. A lot of people call Allen Lazard one of the best run blocking wide receivers in the NFL, which with his 6'5" height, you would hope he would be a good run blocker. And with that 6'5" height, he also is a perfect fit into Nathaniel Hackett's offense. And for most of his career, he actually ran in that Nathaniel Hackett offense. And for pretty much his entire career, Aaron Rodgers has been the quarterback throwing him the ball. Rodgers was a big reason to why Allen Lazard developed into the receiver he is today, a big reason to why he got his $44 million payday just a few months ago. The two have a great relationship. You know, before Rodgers was even traded to the New York Jets, he was seen working out with Allen Lazard in California. So the two have a great relationship, but what can we expect from Allen Lazard from a production standpoint? Well, of course, with a 6'5" height, he's a great red zone threat. During his time in Green Bay, pretty much all of his touchdowns came from within the red zone, and the New York Jets were a team that had little to no red zone success last year, and really for the past 2 years. Big reason for that was, of course, because our offense was always dreadful, but we also didn't have that huge receiver that could just go up there and make those red zone touchdowns, someone you could throw 50-50 ball to, and Allen Lazard's going to come down with it. But now we have that guy in Allen Lazard, and it's finally great to have that player. He's also a solid wide receiver too. You know, last year with the Packers, he was kind of used as a wide receiver 2, wide receiver 1, put up 700 yards. I don't really think he's fit to be a wide receiver 1, but as a wide receiver 2, he's definitely going to put up good production from that role, and that's what I think he does in 2023. But that's the New York Jets wide receiver room. Overall, I think it's a good group. We have a lot of seasoned, proven veterans in the NFL and a potential superstar in Garrett Wilson with the Hall of Fame quarterback throwing him the ball. Definitely expecting good things from this group in 2023. But what are you guys' thoughts on the room? Comment them down below. And I'm your host, Juliet, signing off for now. See you guys later. Peace.